we're going to get started here. So first off, tell us who you are.
Well, I'm Felipe. I'm a rodeo player from Chile. Well, I haven't been playing a lot recently, but well, I got more involved with the community about a year and a half ago when I started to help people doing the virtual sets that are going on in Chile. And from there, I jump onto doing proxy cards, and I've been doing that for the last year or so.
Are you one of the main guys who does the proxies? Are you the only guy doing proxies down there, or the main one doing proxies?
Well, there's a Facebook group where a lot of people drop in proxies and they would do like loose sets or like one superstar or like a couple of non-superstar specific. Nowadays the group doesn't see as much movement as they used to because they were trying to cover all the superstars first, and I think that's accomplished already. Uh, but then, well, I started to post in that group at first, and then I decided to make my own fan page. But because I'm trying to cover as many cars as I can and trying to keep a consistent quality on them.
Yeah, because the
Because,
quality of
well,
stuff
so
you're putting out is pretty high stuff. I mean, they look beautiful.
well, I just spend a lot of time staring at cars because I really like to collect. So I always notice these small stuff like the space between lines and I don't know the position of the logos and the resolutions, and I will always go to see and say, how can I improve this? And I would toy around with the templates that I got because I didn't make the templates from scratch. I got them from that group because, well, I'm not a graphic designer. So I just learn by practicing a lot and making new cards. So I'm trying to keep up improving those templates each time that I can.
So you are a long time player. Currently, you're not living in Chile right now. Right now, you're living in Vancouver.
Right. So a couple of years ago, I moved to Vancouver, Canada, just to do a PhD. So yeah, I had to move away from Chile. The last time that I could participate in a tournament was like back in 2017.
Now,
Unfortunately, we don't have a community here.
not in your area, probably, but probably more on the East Coast, I would assume.
Yeah. I think most of the players are either or on Ontario, Montreal, or I don't know, some in Winnipeg, and that's what I've heard so far.
You got nobody in that area to play.
Yeah, no, I've played with a few Pokemon players. Like I've taught them how to play, and we've done a couple of matches with starter decks, but that's about it.
Uh, so when you were down in living in Chile, it's like that. Where you were part of a large play group, correct? Because they have a lot of. It seems like they have a huge play group down there.
Yeah. So, well, I wouldn't say I was part of it just because I would only come every now and then because, well, I moved away from the capital for when I entered college. So, but yeah, from early on when the game started in Chile, well, it was in the midst of the Attitude Era, so wrestling was very popular in Chile, and
Is it
trading
still not?
card
Is it
games
still
were also
not?
very popular.
Is it still
Sorry,
not popular?
uh, it's not as popular as it used to be.
Because
It's
I mean, I know that we look at social media and we see things that people always put their best foot forward on social media. You see a lot of pictures, and it seems to be that wrestling is still very popular in Chile, both
oh
there
yeah,
and
compared to other countries in South America, I'd say it's pretty popular. Like, I think it was around that time when I was leaving, like 2017, that they even had a like an NXT tryout back in Chile because we have like a few national wrestling associations. So yeah, that was pretty big, like to be chosen as the country to have the tryouts.
I see like even that group from the was it the Raw Deal Chile TV,
Right.
and they had like Xavier Woods was down there, I guess. Was he
Yeah,
down
I
there
actually
for?
was on that event.
You were?
Yeah, yeah, I got to meet Xavier that time, and
Are you in that
well,
picture?
yeah, in the group picture, yeah, I am in that picture. So if you look for me, you're gonna find me. I actually made a proxy out of Explosion Rodeo with that photo.
Nice. What was he down there for? Was it for a WWE event?
Yeah, there was a SmackDown house show that weekend. Well, I think he tweeted something regarding Raw Deal at some point, and the organizer of Raw Deal TV messaged him, inviting him to the tournament he was holding that weekend, which was fairly big. It was like 30 people, I'd say. And yeah, I wasn't living in Santiago at that point, but I traveled for the house show, so and I stayed with my parents over the weekend. So I'd say, yeah, I should go to this event. He might show up. I was with my wife's little brother, so I took him in just it for any chance Saber showed up. So it was really cool for it to
How long did
happen.
he hang out with you guys?
I'd say about an hour.
Nice.
So he stayed to play like a match during the tournament. They gave him a deck, and he had one of the judges was helping him to play because he didn't got past backlash, so he didn't know how to use the backlash deck and the backstage area and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
I
they
sent
gave
him
him
a complete master set of his virtual stuff for him, and he was missing his favorite deck to play was Triple H, and
right. So
he was missing a pedigree, so I sent him one of those as well.
yeah, they gave him a Triple H deck back then. I think he played against a Lashley deck, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it was interesting. I think it was a pretty close call because he was getting good help.
Yeah, I'm
I don't
sure.
remember who won that match though.
So Raw Deal in that market area. So you were there during its explosion, like you said, during the Attitude Era. So
Yeah.
was it a success right out the gate, Raw Deal in 2000, 2001, 2002?
Yeah. The first two sets were pretty big because they released them in Spanish. So one of the things that's important to know is that in Chile back then we had this company called Salo, and they would were like distributors of like all the trading card games, pretty much except Magic. So they had their own trading card games because those were pretty popular back then. They distributed Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And also sell these like albums with where you get like the stickers to fill out. So that was their business, and they would have like stores in every shopping mall, and so the game was very widely available.
Do you think they printed a lot of product like that, especially a lot of product that was in Spanish?
Well,
It's very hard for us to find for collectors. It's very hard for them to find some of that older Raw Deal. The first two releases in Spanish.
right. It's just that as like in any game, like usually the secondary language, because we still got cards in English, like we still got Premiere in English,
Gotcha.
and for especially for fully loaded, people prefer cards in English because the printing quality went down compared to Premiere, and especially holo cards are a mess. Like they get scratched so easily that yeah, people try to avoid fully loaded in Spanish.
Is that hard for the people then there because the primary language is Spanish to learn English to play the game, or are people who play the game
Uh,
already well versed in English?
well, not all of them, but most people would either learn the effect of the cards or they would know some basic English to play. The thing is, like, a lot of people, like, there were a lot of communities already playing card games, and for that, you had to have a bit of English knowledge because most of the games got printed in English.
What was the during its heyday, like you said? What was you had a larger play group size?
Oh yeah. The main events were always held in Santiago because the company that was distributing the product would had like big events. I remember I went to back in like '03, I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and they held this event where they would do like multiple card tournaments in parallel, like in a big event place. So I remember they were playing the Royal National, the Pokemon National, Yu-Gi-Oh Regional, and some board game as well.
So they
So
didn't
yeah,
have any like they had no qualifying events. That Chile was never on the board for qualifying events for getting the World Championships, or no?
I think they were. It's just that it was really hard for people like besides the one person winning the national. I don't think you would easily be able to go to the world championship because you would have to pay your own expenses.
I didn't know how that worked. It's kind of one of my things I want to talk about to some of the guys who would run Gen Con and run these world championship events. I don't know what was given to the winner to go to world championship, if they were given a flight or they had to pay their own way or how it worked.
I think for most national champions in trading card games in Chile, they would get their ticket paid. But I think that was more of a distributor kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So yeah, for us it was pretty bad because over time the company started to do bad and they weren't the smoothest as an organization. So for example, in '04, I think they lost the rights to the Pokemon organized play, and those people couldn't travel to Worlds anymore for like 5-6 years.
So the play group size then was probably pretty substantial. How many people do you think would be in your play group at that time, at its height?
That oof, I'm not quite sure. I only went a few times back when I was in high school because I would play mostly at school. But I remember seeing like easily like 40, 50 people like gathering.
That's pretty good. That's about the size I would see at the only qualifying event that I ever went to. Just to observe,
Yeah,
we just talked about yesterday that I only went to one event that was a qualifying event, and there was easily 45, 50 people in that building.
right. And well, the thing is that most of the people that were meeting Santiago would be from Santiago or nearby because, well, due to the geography, there would be always smaller communities and regions. So I know that even now in a few places we have other smaller communities.
It still seems to be a
Uh,
pretty substantial number of people still playing in groups there. They seem to be really getting together. They have their own tournament formats. They have some kind of a theme to their event sometimes. So it seems
yeah,
like it's still running pretty well.
yeah. So what they usually do is to limit the set of cards you could use in certain events so they can keep the format fresh. So they would ban certain cards or certain superstars, or they would do only underrated superstar tournament and things like that. And that way they can keep things fresh. And well,
We would
that
do that
works.
quite often in our groups in Southern California. We would, keep things fresh where we'd have, we created a masquerade party type of event. We'd have, like you said, people who are like, superstar value of 3 and under, another one with, 4 and over kind of thing. So just to keep things fresh. But, until virtual came out, it got kind of stagnant because you always see the same decks all the time, the same architect.
Right.
So it was really, I'm so thankful for virtual, but that's a nice way to segue into the virtual. Um,
Right.
Chile has its own virtual community. They do their own virtual cards.
Yeah, so far they've done 5 editions and they were working through the sixth one.
Why is it that they want to do their own? Why are they so anti TCO, Team Canada virtual?
Well, for one, they didn't want to increase so exponentially the amount of cards and also the length of the cards they were playing. And in certain aspects, the shenanigan cards and like
Yeah,
all these cards with counters and this card is they introduced a lot of new effects that are, like this card cannot be responded to and things like that. They wouldn't agree on some of those mechanics, and also like some cards got really bloated with decks, and that would be complicated for people that isn't as good in English as some of the players.
sure.
So what they did for virtual was mostly trying to focus on creating new superstars rather than including non-superstar specific.
So
So
there's no non superstar specific cards.
so far they haven't done any. I think it was in the talks, but that's always something that they get feedback from the community first and see if those would see play, because if they don't see play, there's no point in making them.
So with their version of virtuals, there's 5 sets. How many people are on their committee making these cards, and is there a play testing committee that does these before they get released?
So I'd say currently it's like 5 people, and yeah, they would. do some play testing like on the weekly meetings they used to hold before the COVID thing happened. Yeah, they would bring the cards like roughly made, and they would test them first, and we would tweak the text. Like I remember when I was doing the last set, we tweaked a few cards like many times before it was the final release.
That's interesting because I mean, same thing is here. So I'm just curious how many people are actually getting to view all of these new potential cards before it gets released. How many superstars have they created in those 5 sets? Are they how small are those sets, or how big are they? I should say.
Well, the one that I helped making it was like 75 cards.
Oh, so very small sets.
Right, because they would take like I don't know, like 5, 6 new superstars, and then they would make support for the other virtual superstars.
And I'm assuming that they're heavily play tested using all of the comic images stuff as well, and then also interacting.
Right. Yeah, so that's one of the things they aim for, rather than trying to create a lot of new cards that would play along with these superstars. They would try to make usable some underutilized cards.
Do the mechanics change at all? Are they trying to introduce anything new in that at all from a superstar? If you're not introducing any new non-superstar specific cards, you're still stuck with the typical chain and heat and volley and
Right. Yeah, they will introduce. They would make cards that would play along. That would get through those kind of cards, but they wouldn't introduce new mechanics to them.
so there's nothing new. The meta hasn't changed at all then.
Uh, no, I wouldn't say they changed the meta.
Because that seems to be that was an ongoing thing with comic images release. Every release was introducing something new that allowed you to have to kind of relearn some new things, and it kind of changed the way certain superstars played.
Right. So people wanted to have something more or less stable going forward. So they would want a new superstar coming up in play and having new strategies in the meta, but not having new mechanics all the time that would blow the game with more concepts. But at
So
the
it's
same
like
time, they weren't really accepting of Revolution when it came out. So
well, nobody's really seen. I'm one of the few people on the planet that seems to really embrace Revolution. So I love the format, as I'm well documented in saying so. But
yeah, I think it came out a bit too little, too late.
agreed. I mean, I agreed, but I think it. I've been on record as what I think should have been done with it. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it was. I don't buy anybody's bullshit excuse of like it's the what killed the game. It's not what killed the game. It was the last nail in the coffin for the game, basically. Um,
Right.
but so with you guys making all your virtual stuff like that, how does somebody? You guys play tested against Andre, and you play tested against Eugene. You play tested against Kennedy and Piper, and I mean, are
Well,
those still strong decks? Are those still strong decks from those Great American Bash decks?
yeah, they're still strong. So they try to make a balance while making like playable superstars, but not too overpowered. So we would discuss. I don't know if this effect seems too good to like it overshadow all the superstar previous to it. It would destroy the concept of trying to make a more balanced metagame.
Like in the first release that was put out, or the release you worked on, I don't know what release number you worked on. What was a superstar that was popular? What was his ability?
Well, I haven't seen much play of the cards themselves, but the release that I worked on was called No Mercy, and I'm assuming Finn Balor should have been a popular one.
And his ability?
Yeah, I'm working through it. I don't remember it by heart,
Okay.
so I'm just looking for the photo.
Did you actually create any superstars, or did you put part of the play testing?
Well, since I was out of the game by the time I joined the team, because they were working with a graphic designer, and he uh, moved on from the project to do other stuff. So basically, I just since I was working on a few basic proxies, they just signed me in, and I just jump on to do the graphic stuff rather than do anything of the game design of the cards.
Gotcha. So yeah, there's some guys down there, you and whoever was doing it before, have made some really beautiful cards. They're they're just amazing looking. And I think there's some guys over in Singapore doing it as well. There's a few guys here in the States that do some good stuff. But I've been asked before if I wanted to do stuff, but one, I don't have the template to make face cards. Um, uh, and I don't know if I want to have time to do that kind of stuff. I'd only make face cards if that was all I was going to ever do, but I don't know. I think the guys are really talented at what you guys put out, but there's it. You
Okay,
can
I sent you the photo on Messenger, so if you
okay,
want to check it out. So basically, it was a deck around kick and drop kick and stomps. So
gotcha.
so the finisher would gain 4 damage and lose 40 for each card with those texts on the title.
And the photo is no longer available. It says
Oh,
you probably deleted it before you actually it fully sent.
oh, let me send you a screenshot then.
That's okay. I see it.
Oh, okay,
I see it. Interesting.
perfect.
Cool. That's interesting how it so 5 sets that are still playing off of old mechanics.
Right, but they wouldn't be used in all events. Like some of them will play just with their comic images sets, and some would include these ones.
Gotcha. So they're all superstar specifics when you make those virtual sets.
Right.
So now you're not part of the group really per se anymore now, but you're still providing images, doing proxies.
Yeah. So, for example, there's more people working in the news in the 6th set. They're planning up, and yeah, I just improve the templates and teach the guys how to make cards and try to keep the quality standard, well, as I don't have to do as much work as I used to.
But you're still making proxies yourself.
Right. So that's the thing. Like when I open my proxy fan page, I didn't thought about how daunting the task would be to proxy
A
all the cards.
lot of cards,
So
man. A lot of cards.
yeah, I know. And for example, I've talked with Kid, the guy from the Singapore group. He's been doing this for way longer than I have,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been mostly focusing on non-superstar specific. The thing with superstar specific is that WWE doesn't have a lot of photo albums from certain superstars from
Of
back
course.
then, especially if you think about like around 2004, 2003. Yeah, there's barely any photos from that period.
Which is the number one problem that we have with doing virtual, and people want certain superstars, and they're like, well, how come this hasn't been put in the game yet? Well, it's because you don't understand. It's hard to find certain images to fit the theme of that character. I can't
Right,
find a good clear image of his trademark finisher. So it's
right.
hard.
Yeah, for example, when I did Mick Foley's proxies, I couldn't find, and I haven't been able to find a good photo of the cactus clothesline.
I bet it's hard. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like trying to find a good image when they made Owen Hart in virtual, trying to find his trademark. It was hard to find that picture. It was probably one of the blurriest images when Virtual One first came out, or whenever it came out. It was horrible.
right.
It's hard to find though, but guys like, well, today's technology, you should be able to do digital screenshots and blah blah blah, and they just don't work. They don't understand. It doesn't work out that well.
Yeah, yeah. I sometimes work with screenshots, but for some moves, it doesn't really work well. Like I've been struggling with I don't know, the Rey Mysterio's Bronco Buster and the Molly Go Round, for example, because those are quite fast moves. So if you take a screenshot, you would get a very blurry image. For like rest holds and things like that, it's way easier to get a good screenshot.
And there's a lot of them to find on that. Yeah, you're right because they're moving pretty fast. I've been kind of digging that whoever's putting out those little uh, GIF versions of the trademark finishers. I just saw.
Oh yeah, I saw them and I had to try to make one myself. I did edge running spear.
How to come out.
It came out pretty well.
I think they're pretty cool. Those are awesome. I think they're pretty cool. Somehow
Yeah,
you can incorporate those into like a tabletop version of the games like that'd be kind of fun.
yeah, I'm guessing that's the intent with the guys from Raw Deal TV because I don't think Octagon would support GIF, but I think Tabletop Simulator should be able to handle GIF format.
Yeah, somebody from Chile just has been updating a tabletop version. Have they not?
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
haven't
they
seen it.
keep
I haven't played any
updating
of that stuff. I never played on Lackey. I don't play on that OCTGN. I just recently signed up for Discord, so I'm kind of on there, snooping around, seeing what's going on, kind of talks going on. But
it. Right.
I don't. To me, it's just about if I was going to play again, it had to be like in person and play it. But I really don't have desire.
Yeah.
But that
You
tabletop
know,
looked pretty fun.
yeah, I just recently started to play on Octagon. It's funny because I started to play with one of my friends from high school. So we would just call each other through Discord and play a few matches for old time's sake.
On what platform?
On Octagon?
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And how is that? How is that format? Does it play smooth? I mean,
Yeah, yeah. It has some keyboard shortcuts and other ways you can do everything with the mouse. I'd say that the resolution is kind of clunky when you try to resize the window, but besides that,
does it contain
yeah,
every
you
image
can.
already?
Yeah, it even has all the virtual sets.
Of just now virtual
So
sets only from TCO or everything else
no, just from TCO.
just from TCO?
So I think the Chilean
Funny.
virtual cards are not on any virtual platform
It's
right
actually
now.
kind of funny that when you think about it, that they put the TCO stuff and virtual stuff in that platform, but the guy who's developing it from Chile is not using the Chile virtual.
Oh well, the thing is that the Santiago community split in half at some point. So there's people playing in both groups, but the admins of the both communities have different projects going on. So the guy from Raw Deal TV was the one pushing forward the online play and doing the tabletop simulator and stuff, while the other group was the one doing the virtual cards for Chile.
Gotcha. Yeah, they seem really hardcore about it. Like they're like, we're not touching that shit. We're not doing any TCO stuff.
Well, yeah, I don't have any strong opinions towards it. I don't since I never got that involved with the community. It's kind of hard to have an opinion on it or like why that's the case. But yeah, I know that there's a small community in Curicó, which is a city up north from Santiago, that had a small TCO community that would play virtual.
Okay. Uh, did they ever, when they were playing tournaments down there, what kind of prize support are they offering?
Oh,
Like back in the day, when Comic Images, did Comic Images supply you guys with tournament kits and?
yeah, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of like tournament. I didn't play that many tournaments, but I know they were giving them because you would see them around. You would see a lot of those cards from tournament kits, and also, well, obviously they would give booster packs and things like
Sure.
that. So the support was as expected from.
We just had just did a so far one of my favorite sit downs so far we did yesterday with talking about in Southern California. We had a gentleman named Adam Kreitz who was, he made Raw Deal for Southern California and actually put that area on the map because Raw Deal is primarily really a northeastern United States type of a game where it really the biggest players were there. But
Yeah.
he would go into his own personal collection and supply a lot of his own stuff to give away as prizes. Did anybody down in Chile do that? Did they give more than just that besides store credit and booster packs? Were there belts being given away or DVDs or things like that?
Well, sometimes they try to do that, like since they have like a cover price, and even up to this day they play own like trading card stores. So they will usually make agreements with the store, and some of the prices would always go as a store credit or sleeves, things like that.
No cash
But
prizes, no extra type of stuff at all, or
sometimes they would do like T-shirts or yeah, I think they've done DVDs in the past. It's not that common, but they do. Now more recently they've been doing few a few proxy cards as well. because one of the guys that's organizing tournaments in Santiago is printing proxies right now. So
Yeah, how's he printing? That's my next question. Actually, I'm glad you brought it up. Was about the proxies being printed down there. And originally, I was seeing guys post these wonderful, nice-looking foil cards like that, and I was told they were just like this thin sliver of foil thing that got slid into a piece of, into a sleeve with no backs. And now they're actually, now I see them as their foils with still no backs.
right. So I think that what they've been doing, they've had many approaches across time. So at first, I remember they were doing stickers on top of like original cards.
Mm-hmm.
They've also done like transparencies over like silver paper.
Mm-hmm.
And then also directly printed onto the silver paper, which sometimes they print the back, but it's kind of hard to align them in a regular printer,
Sure.
and it's a lot more work. And once their cards are sleeved, you can really
Yeah, I
tell.
mean, you can't
So
really tell. I totally, yeah.
yeah,
'Cause,
so they haven't gone through the trouble of like nailing that technique, but uh, one of the nice things they do about it is that the silver paper looks way closer than the rainbow foil that you would get from other methods.
okay, yeah, because I've noticed the quality looks amazing when you see the video or pictures sometimes, but they almost never show you the back. So I just naturally assume there's no back to them. One of
Right.
my concerns, even though because it's well known that I walk a fine line in what I do with the virtual stuff and pro printing them, but it's a very gray area, I think. But I've been seeing now that there's a guy from the UK been selling virtual stuff now on eBay.
Oh wow.
So basically using the same format of what I'm doing, but just doing it on eBay now.
Uh-huh.
But on the flip side, I'm seeing guys both in Chile and in, I think, Singapore. I think it's just Chile actually at this point. They're actually pro printing or printing comic images cards.
Well, so what they would do is to make proxies out of the cards with scans of the original, so you can tell right away because the photo is more blurry compared to an original card,
Mm-hmm.
and they will make proxies out of that and print those.
I've been seeing some of that. I just saw one of a foil of, I think it was an Armageddon is upon us, or maybe I think I saw one of I want to say it was probably like a helps in the way or something like that, but I could be wrong. But just
Uh-huh.
seeing somebody's, they're printed like just like a comic image, even with the copyright stuff on the bottom of the card.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, it's just that they do, most of the people that print them on uh, like they do house printing, they don't do like true printing services.
Gotcha.
So it's basically people printing at home for the small community there is. So
With
it's not
your
a huge.
with your proxy, graphics that you're doing, so what is your ultimate goal of doing all that? Why?
Well, what I wanted to do is make the game more accessible for everyone because I feel like for once I haven't found like a comprehensive set of proxies of all the cards. Besides seeing some of the cards using scans of the original photos, which I think it would be nice if the quality of the photo or the scan they use would allow it to look clean, but
Mm-hmm.
that's often not the case because printing artifacts and sometimes the photo resolution is not as good. And also because since a lot of people have been doing proxies, you would see small differences on their design philosophy, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would use different types of lettering or different set of logos. Like, for example, I'm using the newer WWE logo, while some other people would use the Scratch logo and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel it would be really neat to have all the cards in one consolidated format.
Mm-hmm.
So that if you want to print a whole deck, it would look nice together.
And this is we're
So I feel that
talking the proxies are going to be like I think you just did a mankind one. It's going to have all of mankind's cards in one location.
Right. So and at some point I want to tackle non-specifics and
That's a big
hopefully
project.
having.
That's a very, very big project.
I know, and I'm working on the back. I haven't released any of that stuff yet because I really want to be sure that I'll be able to accomplish something meaningful with that before trying to post anything online. But for example, right now I'm working on Great American Bash, and I'm halfway through the set already.
Hmm. Of,
So
of,
yeah,
of
that
non of non superstar specifics.
right. So I would like to publish them per set.
Gotcha.
But
I mean, how
for
many
set,
superstars have you done so far? Are you close to finishing all the superstars or no?
no, I'm not even close. I think I have like 50.
50?
Yeah. So I always try to work on some while I'm looking photos for others and try to find some middle ground on trying to at least post a new set per month.
Is your goal to put them all just on your Facebook group, or are you going to open a site, or what do you want to do with them?
Well, right now I just have the fan page. I'd like to open a website, but I'm working through that with a friend. It's just that something that's very recent, and he's kind of disappeared a bit, with this COVID situation. He's been having a rough time, so he's been kind of out of the internet lately.
Sure.
But yeah, my end goal would be like to have a site to store this and more data. Like one of the things that I've done well is trying to grab all the information that what it used to be in the comic images side and try to preserve the game as it was, because compared to other card games, it's really hard to find information on the game.
Well, I mean, I know my partner and I've done a lot of work and research in getting documents put up on the VelaCards Facebook page. I mean, you can go on
Right,
there and find out everything in a starter deck. You can find out every checklist for every release, um, all card text for every card. You can jump into a photo album and go to Hulk Hogan and find out everything there's to find for Hulk Hogan as far as comic images and virtual stuff. So I mean,
right,
it's tried to be a house for everything that somebody needed to get started in Raw Deal or refresh themselves in Raw Deal.
right. What I've been looking for, and I'm not sure. Well, this may be the right platform to ask for. Is that I haven't been able to find like a lot of like photos from back in the day, like from tournaments and stuff. That's one of the things that we're lacking, and one of the things that I found in the Committee website that you can still visit it going through archives.org.
Sure.
It's like tournament reports from back in the day, and I
Yeah.
really find interesting to be able to see the evolution of the meta.
Yep. It's definitely one of our subjects that we're going to be talking about. I'm working on setting a date and time with a gentleman who was there since day one, and
Right,
to talk about that kind of stuff about and these guys, like these play testers from back in the day, all have their notes still. They're boxed away somewhere with all their notes from all the play testing. It's like, I think it'd be kind of fun for players and collectors to kind of see all that and hear about that, about how it developed and how it just changed over from each release.
right,
There's a lot of history there. It's just the more we keep doing this, the more ideas become like, oh, that'd be kind of a cool thing to talk about. That'd be kind of a cool thing to talk about. And it's like, next thing you know, I've got like 100 things to talk about now, and I'm trying to prioritize all these things.
yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, you can go to the archives and find the old comic images stuff. I've seen some people recently just talking about that, about going there looking for like deck lists from a championship game, like an Origins or something like that. Anybody have that deck list, and go to way back.
Yeah,
That's really cool. So it seems to be a really thriving market down there in Chile. It's do you miss playing down there at all? It's like that since you got nobody up in Vancouver.
yeah, definitely. It would be real nice to have some people to play with.
You got to get more
Well,
people.
yeah, recently they also did an online tournament. Like instead of using an online platform, they use a webcam. So it was a tournament. It was a league with no prizes, so uh, people wouldn't feel compelled to cheat during the matches.
Sure.
Uh, but the tournament was around 50 people across the country, so it was pretty
Really?
good. Yeah.
And a tournament that was done in Canada?
No, no, in Chile.
Oh, Chile. Okay.
Yeah. So it was pretty good.
That's pretty interesting. So there was no prizes to be given away. Do you think we've talked about with other people before? Do you think that prize supporting is gone,
Uh,
or what would it take? And from a prize level, that players would be like, "Hey, I want to play this game. There's some good shit I want to get."
well, before that, for a couple of years, with like after Comic Images stopped supporting the game, the community still hang out with some unofficial national tournaments, but that was off for a few years. This year, they try to revive the national tournament concept, but unfortunately, due to COVID, it had to be canceled.
Of course.
But that was something that was going to happen, and people was excited about playing it.
Was it bring prize supporter or just for bragging rights?
No, no, there would be some prizes like, well, I know, like card supplies. There would be a few cards, proxies,
Sure.
and
That
well,
seems to be the going trend for some of these I've been hearing is when there are prizes to be given away, it's usually like these limited, proxy cards that are going to be given to people.
right. Actually, well, we haven't really discussed this publicly, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it.
Oh, you want
But one of
spoilers?
the
I
ideas
love
that
spoilers. I love spoilers.
Well, one of the ideas for the national was doing our own version of the cardboard currency, so you
Okay,
would have a free access to another paid tournament.
that's awesome. Actually, I was kind of wondering about that not too long ago when we were talking about cardboard currency. If that was a concept that was worth revisiting because, um, again, prize support. It didn't seem like it was something that anybody would really cared about, from what I'm understanding. I mean, I've got these signature cards that I've got to somehow, some way, unload somewhere. um,
Right.
I just didn't know if they're desirable anymore. Was it worth my time going out and getting talent to sign things anymore? These cards or what? Um, so it's cool. A cardboard currency type of thing would be kind of cool. I'm interested in seeing that.
Right. So the idea was, since, well, the cover fees are really important nowadays to have price support in the first place. Um, yeah, we thought, well, it would be really nice to compete for money per se without directly being money.
Sure.
So it would incentivize that person that wins to keep coming back to play more tournaments. So
With the proxies, I think it's kind of cool with if you kind of really made them special in the sense that whoever designs it, the artwork, the person doing the artwork can say, listen, I'm making this. If you win this tournament, here's the proxy you can win. Here's the card you can win. Once it's printed and made for you, I destroy the file and you have the only card it's made, or whatever it is. So no more can
right,
be made. That's kind of what's happened with the backstage autograph session cards, the 3.0 version, like my backdrop here I'm using. Um,
yeah.
I'm the only one that has that file. So the car was made for me, and then they asked me to get it printed. I got it printed. They made sure that it was okay, that I was happy with it. I was totally in love with it. They said, "Oh, great! I deleted the file. You have the only file now."
Right.
But if they did a proxy like that, where a tournament say like, "Hey, Felipe made this cards like that, and it's done. It's a nice, cool proxy of just whatever," and then he deleted the file. You now have the only card in the world that image.
So yeah, so those things were in discussion to have like exclusive version of certain proxies for tournaments, and that's something that was in the talks, but unfortunately the tournament was postponed indefinitely. So
Well,
hopefully
I think in
when this all
2021, once we get some more normalcy, whatever the hell that may be, we'll start seeing some people getting back together again, and it may be just online. But the logistics of getting prize support out to people that's all online, it's a nightmare. And I know
right.
guys back east, like Luke, runs some great stuff out there. Um, and I know it's just hard for them to kind of think about like, how am I going to send out all these cards to people who want to play from Singapore and Chile and UK? It's just how do I? You get a special card for entering our tournament, but I got to mail this stuff to everybody. Can start adding up.
Yeah, well, I feel the easiest way to do that would be you would have to have a person to print the proxies that lives in a country with fairly cheap uh,
Yeah,
post service. Because, for
Okay.
example, if you think about it, sending things from Europe or from Japan, for example, compared to sending things from the States, the prices are really different.
Yep.
Like when I buy cars to Canada from the States, it's more expensive than buying things from Japan,
Isn't
which
that
is
crazy?
insane.
Isn't that
Yeah,
crazy?
yeah. Like when I buy like a single car on eBay from Japan, I would pay like maybe $5 of shipping, and I would pay like twice of that
Yeah, I think
for a
Canada, I
shipping
think
from
we
the
charge like
States.
13 bucks just for first class shipping. And
Right.
we have a wonderful president in this country who wants to quadruple the postage rates.
Yeah, I know.
So that
That's
would,
making things so much harder.
yeah, I just don't understand it. But anyhow, yeah, so it's great. I've always kind of wanted to know a bit about more what's going on in Chile and, the reasons why they, don't like to use TCO stuff and, what the market is like down there. I mean, the market, how much is product still available in stores there? Is it harder to find now? I mean, it's got to be hard to find.
Yeah, yeah. So you can find it in stores. Like some players would still have sealed stuff, but well, one of the things is that the company that brought the game in the first place to Chile went to bankruptcy in around 2008.
Okay.
So they had to sell all their stuff, like these big sales, these closing
Well, I'm sure they
sales.
probably wholesale it out to people who are wholesale specialists. And then
Yeah.
now you got to
No,
find,
so
are those
the,
wholesale specialists selling to the public or selling to retails or sitting on stuff?
we're open to public. So I remember I bought a booster box of Revolution back then, and I paid like $16 for it.
Where
Yeah,
is it?
it was crazy. It's back at home. I sold the whole cards that I got from it. I think I got like five of the Edge Superstar specifics, and I think I got one from John Cena.
Okay.
And yeah, all the rest of the cards I have them back in Chile because I couldn't bring a lot of things with me.
Do they play? Does anybody play Revolution in Chile, or no? Is that just like not even touched?
Oh, not at all. Like, not that I know of. I know that some people collect them
Well, if
just to
anybody
have the
from
full.
Chile would like to get rid of all their Revolution cards, I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Yeah, yeah, I know there's a few people that have mostly Revolution 1. I think Revolution 3 barely see any supplies in Chile. Uh, well, the other things they had in excess were precisely sets from like the Premiere and Fully Loaded in Spanish. And I know they sold a shit ton of both seal decks and booster packs from those
I
sets. I
not too long ago, and then I sold it on the site. But not too long ago, I had just an immaculate, perfect condition, sealed Benoit deck, all in Spanish. It was still sealed, and it was awesome.
right.
It just I had never seen one before, so to have one in hand was kind of cool. I'd love to get
Yeah.
my hands on a copy of all of them.
Well, and unfortunately, like as I told you, like the foil card from Fully Loaded would scratch with just looking at them.
Well, I mean, to get if someone who wants to buy as a collector never open it, it's a great thing for them then. Because
Well,
there's two guys that would normally buy from me, and there's going to be most of them. I'd say 95% of the people who buy are playing the game. The other
right.
5% are collectors because they collect all kinds of wrestling cards. So they just treat it like a trading card, which is how I got into business because I got into selling raw deal because I was tired of just selling the typical, at the time, it was Fleer and Comic Images, well, Comic Images before, but then Fleer
Uh-huh.
selling, just doing trading cards and then tops. It's like, I'm going to try something new, man. This raw deal thing, it just seems like it's like a trading card, I guess. I'll sell like trading cards. And I sold a paid laden maid for $5. I had no idea what it was. It was just a bunch of dudes in a car. And but yeah, I just there's different kinds of people who collect that stuff. So a sealed starter deck would be like, hey, that's gold for them, just to have it, never open it.
Right. So, well, I'd say mostly the market is from players or people collecting superstar sets. I don't know that many people collecting just sealed decks. Um, but yeah, one of the interesting things about the Chilean market is that it's very isolated from what it happens internationally.
How
So
so?
since the shipping is so expensive, not a lot of people will sell internationally or buy internationally. So you told me you used to have a lot of Chilean customers, but they
I would
weren't
say at
that
a certain
often.
point between Chile and Singapore, about 60 to 65% of my sales were coming from those two countries.
Right.
And then it just started to drop. I still do quite a bit in Singapore, not like I used to, but the Chile market really dropped a lot for me because they just started trading and dealing with each other.
Right. So what happened is that the community hasn't grown a lot. So maybe a couple people would get in, but at the same time, a few people would retire. So that keeps the market cycling.
Yeah,
And a lot of people would like change decks over time. They would get bored of a superstar, they would sell it and buy another one. And uh, the since the prices have gone up over time and like shipping as well,
sure.
since the demand and the offer has been more or less the same in Chile, the prices have been kind of isolated from all that's happening here.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to keep up to date on what the global market is selling stuff for. So you kind of have to do your research, your eBay stuff, and even on Amazon sell stuff too. But then, now these Facebook groups are really grown over the last year or two now, especially. And you see a lot more people doing direct sales from one player to the next player kind of thing.
Yeah, so that's the way the market moves in Chile mainly. Like since there are like only like two or three groups of raw deal in Chile, yeah, they would post what they're trying to look for or sell or buy, and since most people are from the same city, they would just meet and
Yeah.
pay in cash and get the cards.
I see a lot of cool stuff when I see on the board, like looking to sell, hit the translator to find out what, it's going for. I have to use my, uh, my currency converter. I'm like, hey, I'm interested in buying. Well, we're only dealing within Chile. Sorry. Ah,
Well, yeah, it's just that it's harder for people to sell things internationally, and they're not used to send parcels to other countries.
well, right now I can't even sell anything to Chile anyway. So
Right, yeah,
there's no shipping.
especially now it's there's a lot of restrictions, but back even when things were normal, like not a lot of people know how to send things through UPS, for example.
Yeah, UPS is very expensive.
Right, or you could use the post office. And the other thing is that the Chilean post is not great.
It really
They
isn't.
would not.
It seems like a lot like in my history of doing selling down there, I seem to have there's always a lot of strikes going on. There seems to be like I have one time where people are asking, where's my stuff? And I go, well, did you not read the news? You haven't gotten any mail in a month because there's been a strike, down there. There's no mail for anything. You've gotten no bills. You've gotten no letters. So how do you?
So the people who usually go in strike is the customs office. So
Oh,
that's why international shippings get delayed, but uh, the bills and whatnot would keep functioning normal.
I mean, I've seen with this COVID stuff before it hit, and then it became like there were suspensions to not all of South America suspended, just most countries in South America are. I just posted yesterday too for people to go to USPS.com, and I put a link to the international page and says, this is
Uh-huh.
updated daily, so go there and check to see, if your country is still suspended from receiving, postage. But even before that, it was such a hit and miss. Like I've had customers get stuff in 10 days and I had some get it in 60 days. So you never know.
Yeah, it varies wildly. So that's why people don't rely too much on international shipments. The players that I think that buy internationally the most are players of like active games because they usually don't find the cards they need for tournament decks.
Correct. I mean, other than
So,
Raw Deal, what's a big game right now? I mean, what's a big game in the last couple of years in Chile?
well, I'd say as always, like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and Magic.
The top three. Yeah.
Yeah, the top three. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of play of like the newer card games, like Wise Shards or things like that. I haven't seen them
Yeah. I mean,
a
now
lot.
as we talking Greek to me, I have no idea what that stuff is, but
Yeah, they've come up with a lot of like newer card games, like related to anime stuff and whatnot.
I'm interested in looking into expanding my business into other wrestling type card games. I'm not doing Super Show. And there's a independent card slash dice game that I need to talk to. It's a promotion that I'm supposed to talk to either today or tomorrow about possibly carrying their product. But do you think that why hasn't games like a Super Show, which is probably the most popular wrestling game in North America right now, it's Super Show. I mean, at Gen Con, they draw, over 100 plus people come and play in their tournaments. Why is that not taking off in Chile?
Well, I feel like some of the crowd that Road Deal attracted over the years, there's this mixture of interest in the mechanics of the game, but also just sheer appreciation for that period of WWE.
So
So yeah,
they're
people,
strictly WWE fans, and they won't play a game that doesn't feature any names they know of.
right. So there's a lot of wrestling fans, but not all of them would be interested in trading card games. You would have some trading card games that would be interesting in general wrestling stuff. So we have this overlapping crowd that happens just because back in the day, most people were watching WWE.
Sure. Because I mean,
So
you look at something like Super Show, and at the time you didn't know, but now you look back at Super Show card game, and there's a lot of talent there that's now in WWE. You know,
right,
uh, you know,
yeah, but
Johnny Gargano and AJ Styles. These guys were not in WWE at the time; they were just independent and TNA guys.
right. So I am guessing if people would see a game with like an active roster of like I don't know AEW wrestlers, probably they would get into it.
Do you think if there's an
Uh,
AEW card game that they would get into it?
yeah, I'm guessing not all of them, but I think it would have chances, especially
Of
if
how
it gets
popular it is?
support and yeah.
But when
So well,
go
the,
ahead.
the the wrestling crowd, like the hardcore wrestling crowd, has gotten smaller over the years. So the main problem with introducing any kind of other wrestling game is that most casual fans would only know about WWE because they get it in like Fox Sports and yeah, it's widely available. Well, as AEW, you have to go through internet to watch it from South America.
Sure. I just think if again, I don't want to get into any personal stuff from reasons with the Super Show thing, but from a fan standpoint, it's a very addictive and fun and fast paced game, and it just seems to me like if people internationally gave that card game a shot to play it's like that, they would see the value and the fun. The replay value would be great, but it's interesting that because certain markets are just WWE fans, that's all they are.
Right.
Even though you do have your own independent leagues there, I'm assuming there's independent promotions.
Right, but the crowds those shows would draw are pretty small.
Yeah,
We're talking about a couple thousand people, and
yeah,
like they're really in the shows. And the hardcore wrestling fans are a small community.
sure. Still in the closet they are.
Yeah.
So, well, great, man. A lot of insight on the Chile market. I'm kind of hoping to do something similar for the Singapore market. Trying to find someone that's willing to get on and do this. Um,
All right. That'd be fun because I remember Keith texted me like a couple of months ago because some guy from Singapore was selling mic proxies on an online platform from Singapore.
really?
Yeah, and he was asking like outrageous prices, like they were like original cards.
How does that make you feel?
It was weird because probably the average rodeo player would know those aren't the real cards because
Sure,
well the copyright and also the photos are different.
sure.
And yeah, kind of it was kind of laughable, I guess, just because no one would buy them at such a outrageous price. Like someone was selling the Undertaker set for around $100.
Wow.
That's way over the printing price, right?
Of course. Well, I mean, that's what I've gotten criticized for is the pricing I do on the on the virtual stuff. But I have overhead. These take time to create, to get the templates done, to go through the whole process. And what people don't usually um, add into their costs is time. And
Right.
time is very valuable. I got to the point where maybe I was really overpriced when I first started doing it, and then I lowered the price, and it seems to have been accepted better. But I don't understand what people's thought process are, and either I shouldn't carry it at all, or they want me to just to print the stuff at what it costs to print it. And it's like, well, what was the effort to do that for them? Why would I want to do that?
Right.
If something cost me $1 to print, just throwing out a round number, why would I sell it for $1? Is my time not worth anything?
Yeah, it would be pointless for you to do so.
Yeah, so it's like, why even do it at all then? But so it's a fine line, and it's a whole different topic. And I'd be totally open to having people from both sides of the table on to talk like you and I right now, and really hammer it out.
Right. Yeah, for me, I've never I've been just doing the proxies just to have them for everyone. So I don't mind if people print them, or if they offer the printing service, that's good. I mean, it'll make it easier for the proxies to get into people. Like, I really love when people send me the photos of the printed cards and they look really nice, and
Mm-hmm.
I always appreciate that. At most, like, trying to see any earnings on this, I have a coffee account so
Mm-hmm.
people can donate, and I offer some custom proxies for if people donate.
That's a good thing. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So I just have that going on, but it's just a token of appreciation more than anything else. Just got
Yeah,
like
it's
one or
like
two
being
donations so far.
being tipped for your work.
All right. But yeah,
Exactly.
I'm not like looking forward to that. I just have it just in case if someone feels the need to do it.
Sure. Well, I look forward to seeing more of your work, and I hope that website comes to fruition someday. And
Yeah, hopefully.
it'd be a great resource for players to, if they don't want to, own an original cards like that, they can at least have a nice proxy version that looks really nice.
Right. Yeah, so currently I'm working in like 3 sets in parallel, let's say. After I finished Carangle, I was trying to, for the longest time, I've been struggling to put out a hollow mesh just because finding a good profile picture of Hull, it's really hard.
A profile picture, you want
Right.
something.
For
I
for
can
like the
look because
superstar card.
I've worked with him in the past, so I have pictures that we use that are obviously 8x10 friendly to be made in nice 8x10s. So I might
Ah,
have
nice.
something you can use.
Oh, that'd be great. I just recently found one that might do the trick.
Okay.
I need to cut the background first to see if it works. So actually, I have done all the superstar specific cards of that one.
Okay,
And
great.
I'm halfway through Victoria as well. Uh, and yeah, I have.
All people I can get you signed copies of.
Well, for the longest time, I've been putting off doing the hurricane because I'm missing photos for uh, to the Huri cycle and the Huri Friends
Yeah,
armors.
you messaged me on that too. I had just messaged him
Yeah,
yesterday because yesterday was his birthday, and
yeah.
I can ask you. Did you reach out at all to him?
Yeah, I haven't got a reply yet, but
Okay.
I'm waiting on it.
Yeah, I can. I mean,
And
I can definitely ask him. If that doesn't work out for you, let me know. I can ask him. I don't know if he's going to have any images of him playing around that he could.
right, I mean, even a regular photo of just if I would do it.
Sure. Well, cool, man. I appreciate your time on this like that. It's always interesting to hear about other markets and what they're doing because predominantly it's always about the U.S., North American markets like that. So to hear something as far away as Chile is pretty cool, even though you're in Vancouver.
Right.
And then I'm really hoping to get. I reached out to Keith. There's some interest there, but I'm not sure how overly interested he is in doing something like this. But I'll knock on that door again. And then the UK market seems to be kind of blowing up a little bit more than it normally is right now too.
Right.
So I'm gonna
Yeah,
reach out to
that's
someone there.
interesting as well.
I'll reach out to somebody there because I'm really interested in finding out who is deciding to use eBay as their source to start, selling proxies.
Uh-huh.
So,
That's cool.
sure. So anyways, man, I appreciate your time. I know you got to get back to work here, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk again soon.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, buddy.
Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.